Hey Frosty Clan, thanks for joining today for another episode on the Keto Trail. Today we're going to be talking about a simple drink recipe to keep you hydrated in the backcountry. Plenty of sodium and potassium electrolytes. So let's jump over to the kitchen and get with it. Okay, this is going to be our kitchen for this hydration drink recipe. We're going to refer to it as Ketorade because it's really the basic hydration mix designed to be simple for use in the backcountry. You can use this recipe at home or at the office as the base for more complicated hydration mixes, but today we're sticking to, I guess technically 4 ingredients if you include the water. But water plus 3 ingredients, and this is really easy to do in the backcountry. So you're going to need to start with your filtered and treated water in the backcountry, and this works just fine with a small lid like on the platypus. Of course, it's even easier if you have an Nalgene or quart jar like I use in the office, but works just fine with Nalgene. And there's 3 components. The first one is the Himalayan salt, and this is just pink Himalayan salt. It has a variety of minerals in it, not just sodium chloride. And so we're going to use 1/8 of a teaspoon per up to a quart, but liter is what this is. And if you do this enough times and you can measure this out at home and get accustomed to what is 1/8 of a teaspoon, then that just goes right in. Keep in mind that the Himalayan salt is quite a bit coarser, and you want the coarse version because you can carry that in your pack even in the Altoids. Many Altoids can, or bigger Altoids can, and it won't spill out of here, the coarse Himalayan salt. You start looking at finer grained salts, and they certainly can, so you may need a different kind of plastic container or other container to hold those. So 1/8 of a teaspoon of Himalayan salt, and then we're going to be adding potassium chloride to that. And the brand that we're using I can get at my grocery store is No Salt brand by, I think it's McCormick. Doesn't say, but it's No Salt brand. And this is refined potassium chloride. It's quite a bit smaller grain size than the Himalayan pink salt. And so it really takes a couple of pinches, and I dumped out too much there, but if you're using it in a container in the field, it's actually a lot easier. And because it's so much finer, it actually takes me about 3 pinches to equal 1/8 of a teaspoon, because the grain, you just pick up less grains per pinch than when they're coarse. Okay. All right, and then third ingredient, and this is, my drink mix of choice, and primarily because it doesn't have a lot of the artificial ingredients in it, and I just think it's one of the better products that's available right now. And so this is the True Lemon brand. I like plain old lemonade. If you like pink lemonade or raspberry lemonade or one of the other plethora of varieties that they have, then by all means go for that. Try this stuff ahead of time before you hit the backcountry to make sure you enjoy that flavor. But the ingredients on this are crystallized lemon, and then in parentheses that says citric acid, malic acid, lemon oil, and lemon juice in parentheses. And then after the crystallized lemon, there's cane sugar, natural flavor, stevia leaf extract, and carotene for coloring. And that's it. That's what's in the product. And there's a total of 1 gram of sugar in it, and it shows as calories, let's see, 10 calories in that. And so there's 3 total grams of carbohydrate, 1 gram is sugar, and that's what's in the product. So we're going to use that, and these come in these little tubes. And they've got a spot on here. Sometimes I use scissors, but they've got a spot to tear. I'm trying to leave the top on just because in the backcountry in particular, it's easier if this is one piece of trash than having to keep up with 2 pieces. And then that just goes right in here. And I know that seems like that's super simple. Why are you showing me this? And the reason is because you need potassium and sodium for your metabolism. And in particular, when you're exerting a lot of energy, maybe a lot more than you're accustomed to exerting, and potentially in an atmosphere where you're at a lower oxygen situation anyway because you're at altitude, then you certainly need to keep your sodium and potassium pumps in your cells full so they can produce energy and keep you going. So that's it, and that's the basic recipe. That's all there is to it. So Himalayan sea salt, potassium chloride, your drink mix. I use the True Lemon lemonade, and you do that to every liter of treated water that you're wanting to drink. If you're at home, you can even slice up some lemons and throw in your quart jar there, or your Nalgene. Nutritional Info. This is a very basic recipe. We're over here at cronometer.com, cronometer.com, and you can get an account here for free and come over to the Foods tab and set up recipes just like the ones you've been looking at on the FrostySith channel. Today we're looking at episode 10, the Ketorade recipe. It's very simple. It's a hydration drink mix. Has a total of 4 ingredients, including the water in it. And so the main thing to look at, and just make sure you're on the American 2016 nutrition label in this drop-down box, is what are the electrolytes? Because again, the only thing in this recipe is the Himalayan salt, potassium chloride, the True Lemon lemonade drink mix, and then water. So with the basic recipe that we just went over, 1/8 of a teaspoon of Himalayan salt and 1/8 teaspoon of potassium chloride, you're getting 168 milligrams of sodium and 329 milligrams of potassium. Now that's about a 2-to-1 ratio of potassium to sodium. And ideally, I think 4-to-1 is probably considered ideal. So if we take 329.4 divided by 168.3, that's about a 2-to-1 ratio of potassium to sodium. And so you could easily double the potassium in this recipe, and it's not going to be too salty, and that would get you to a 4-to-1 ratio of potassium to sodium. And you can also play around with just, doubling that again on both the sodium, the Himalayan salt, and the potassium, so that you're just intaking more total electrolytes per recipe. But the intention of this recipe is to give you a starting point and a base recipe and some tools through which you can adjust this to your needs in the backcountry and what your body is telling you. None of these recipes are intended to be providing medical advice to you. That's really between you and your doctor. But this is what I do, this is what I use as a starting point, and I will often adjust these ratios and volumes depending on how my body is doing in the backcountry. All right, that's it for this particular episode. I hope that helps you out. If you do some Googling, you'll find other Keto-ade recipes on the internet. I think Dr. Ken Berry has one that has a number of other ingredients in it, and so for home and office situations where you have access to those things and it's not an issue trying to get the product into your container, you can Google that and check that out, Dr. Ken Berry. But otherwise, this is what I go with. It's what I'm going to be running with in the trip that we've got coming up. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was helpful for you. If you haven't subscribed, take a minute and hit the subscribe button to the channel. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and certainly give comments. We love to get those and to answer them. So thanks for joining, and remember, get up, get out, live a little. See ya.